Hey everybody. Thanks fam for coming. We are doing a fun show topic on grid work and many other subjects. I have my wonderful guest, Anne Ishikawa. Can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and then I'll go.
Yeah, hi Sean. My name is Anne. I have a YouTube channel called SKINSUIT Manual, and I started it because there wasn't a skin suit manual. How do we operate these skin suits that we inhabit? And I'm just doing my best to unravel that mystery. I read DNA lineages. I can clear things and yeah, look into timelines, all sorts of fun stuff. Sean Bond helped me a lot on my journey. Thank you, Sean. And today, I believe we're talking about grid working.
I'm Sean Bond, Sonic League. All types of abilities coming online and awakening, and I want humanity to, in their psionic potential, fully awaken to make all the problems of the world go away. And with that comes many paradise scenarios and the understanding and knowingness of why we're here, what's going on, the problems that we solve, and then the answer to every question and problem is already inside you, deep within, and the process to getting it out, and then building. What is this? Every problem essentially has, with the solution, is like an ability and a skill and talent that can make lives better and flourish whole systems of support for people. So that's what I do, and reverse engineer those, and it led to so many things because like also a healer. It's like a mechanic for the body in the skin suit manual, which I love, and there it's in your heart. And people like Anne are bringing that knowledge out so that people can understand what is inside them, so that they can know themselves and know the universe. Yeah. How you doing?
Yeah, I mean, so people can know themselves and their universe because we are multidimensional. Whether you believe it or not, whether you buy into all the crap or not, we are multidimensional, and our realm is multidimensional. So you may as well step up and start playing. I think if you're not playing, if you don't step up, you end up being affected by things that you cannot see. And if you're not programming your reality bubble, something else will and does. So I think it's really important, especially in these energies, the energies are shifting, the timelines are shifting. These solar flares are just going off. We're in a solar maximum cycle. And that's why I think grid working or talking about our Earth grid is so important. Because from what I can tell, um, these solar flares, a lot of energy from the sun, I'm not sure, and perhaps you can help us out on this one, Sean. I'm not sure it goes directly into our bodies. I think it might go through the ley lines first. These solar flares, they hit the equator, go through portals, and then spread out through the ley lines. And then we are living on the ley lines on the Earth grid. And then we absorb these solar codes through the ley lines into our skin suits. And perhaps there are some solar codes or energies that go directly into our solar plexus, and other chakras. What's your view on that? How do we receive these codes?
Hmm. Well said. Yeah, there's a big macrocosmic grid that connects between the big macro collective consciousness of the source of all, fractaling down all the sources, the emanations of higher dimensional plasma, perception of energy, consciousness, light, and that condenses into what we know as the ultraverse, multiverse, universe, galaxies, solar systems, the stars, the planets, moons, to the microcosmic bodies, and all relays and pulses back and forth with each other. Communication system, energy holds in communication these codes for upgrades, evolution, exchange puzzle pieces. It's like a radiance of support. One of the ways people can charge up on cosmic rays and other macrocosmic body emissions and receive. And then it builds their foundation of the support for greater forms of consciousness, ability, capability, their temple, spirituality, consciousness expansion, density building, which is like pearling and in their dantians of their bank and not let it be stolen. This higher dimensional light and energy. Yeah, a lot of the majority of the energy that's pumped out is received mainly by Earth and her electromagnetic field, the aurora borealis, what's then going into the Earth in a toroidal field, double torus. So there's like also another one, and that then leads to our toruses. Some of it is exchanged through grounding and connection with a circuit with Earth Mother, her heart, and the grid system. The grids don't just touch the Earth, they go into the sky and into the clouds. A lot of them emanate from the center of the core and then go outward in like beams of energy and then have multiple layers going up of crisscrossing different geometries that are built up and some move, as well as grids made by individual consciousness that are doing work in a type of thing they're good at that they're hired by Earth to do in an incarnation, that take on many different forms. Some are very geometrically what's the word? Beautiful and symmetrical, and some are like all over the place with depending on what was available, capable, their expansion, their traveling, depending on if their main emanation is in a spirit, micro, macro form, or like in a physical body, depending on where they traveled. Like animals do this too, depending on their higher spirit, how great it is. Horses will roam around and they're like where they stomp, where they pee and crap will be involved in that. And then how people program what they leave in parts of themselves and what they make as an impact, how long they are there. Also, I noticed that so like these nodal points where they cross, there's different big points that come up from the center of the Earth that connect to her macrocosmic body, as is above, so below, as we're cells for her. Every time we upgrade, she upgrades, and she attempts to do that with us as well. There, when a powerful being is birthed into the world, that can make a chakra or a nodal point or meridian point or place of power or whatever one would say. To call that as an emanation point, that energy that pulses out and can expand its rise and how big it is, depending on how well it's maintained, protected, spirits involved in maintaining it and management. And it's also acts as a computer terminal that can do many, many things. And depending on the access, the level, the macrocosmic space of territory it's involved in, and the beings that made it, what that programming, access, and control and functionality that it can perform for that territory when interacted with by individuals. And that's grid working.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack there. You mentioned the animals. So humans, we walk the earth, we visit places, sacred spots, power spots, and we maybe in our unawareness, we just hang out there, have a coffee and a cigarette, when our higher selves guided us there. And what are we doing in the background? What are we doing that we don't know? And also animals, the horses run along the ley lines. For me, I do a lot of work with the elephant and whale DNA lineages. The elephants and whales sing into the ley lines. And they're for me, I work a lot with these lineages and their grid working abilities. And a lot of people have whale and elephant DNA. We are multidimensional. We have many DNA lineages within us. We're not just the one dragon or the one Pleiadian. We're packing many, many DNA lineage soul families. So for people who have whale or elephant DNA or horse DNA lineage, the unicorns, I find these people often are grid working. If they don't travel a lot, they at least get out a lot into nature, and they do a lot of hiking and things like that. So what are the kinds of things are these people doing? Most of it is probably in their unawareness. They get drawn to a place. Oh, I have to visit Rome, or I have to go to this temple today, or oh my goodness, I've got to go for a hike. And they just get compelled and drawn to go somewhere and, hike or just be in that spot. So what are the kinds of things that would happen at our higher self level when people visit these places?
Big question. Yeah. When people like walk, they go to parks, they recharge, they want to go into nature because they may not know everything because science, boxes in their belief, but science is able to, they work into psychology. You got to get out more. You got to touch grass. You got to
Oh, it's so
go out in
important,
nature.
bare
Go to
feet on wet grass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, wet grass. The beach, mountains, rivers, lakes. My God, being on a canoe and just be surrounded with the water technology. It's like a big water technology that amplifies, especially if you find a place power and anchor in the water. Woo. There's people that take their dogs. The dogs mark their territory. The urine can be programmed and make spiritual and sacred. And armies of elementals of every water you've been through can be put into that, and that can amplify gridding. The dogs do that.
I have a funny story about that. So I don't know if you remember this, but a couple of years ago at the Japanese Olympics, 2020 or 2021, I was chatting to you and you said to me, oh, you should put your pee at the site of the stadium, where the stadium is. You should go and put your pee in the ground there. And oddly enough, I didn't question you. I didn't say why. And I just said, oh, okay. So I bottled up, I think it was 3 liters of my pee. And because that Olympic stadium was all blocked off by police and everything, I got my husband, and oddly enough, I said to my husband, oh, I've got to go and put my pee at the Olympic stadium. And oddly enough, he just looked at me and he said, okay, well, we should go at 6 o'clock in the morning when there's no one around. And he didn't question it either. It's like we're all possessed by our higher selves or something. So off I go, 6 o'clock in the morning, dump 3 liters of my pee. I had it in these plastic oolong tea bottles. So it kind of looked like I was just dumping oolong tea. And because I never questioned, because I never questioned you and never thought what I was doing, after I did that, I was connected to the goddamn Olympian gods, the corruption of all of that crap, and I was unraveling these dark entities and that were linked to the Olympics, and a couple of good ones as well. There are good like sporting gods or entities, and I was connecting with the good ones, but oh my God, I got slammed for a couple of weeks there, unraveling the Olympics crap. We all know what a dark ritual the Olympics always has
Yeah,
been.
the new one especially. Oof.
Yeah, and so I thought that was quite funny. So people, be careful where you pee. Okay. Some people are drawn to go on a nature hike and they pee in the bushes there or out in nature. You are embedding your DNA and exchanging information with that area. You're kind of, as animals do. It's not just marking territory, it's embedding your DNA and kind of connecting you with that area uh, at a soul level. So then you're exchanging information, protecting each other, helping the area do what it needs to do or get what it needs to get. And so dumping pee is really a powerful thing you can do. So my only advice is never pee on a government building because you don't want to ever engage with that. Don't ever pee anywhere near an Olympic stadium. Um,
Yeah,
Probably
if you're
nature.
new to this, don't go near the dark places. If you're
Uh,
wanting to get rid of the dark grids and you have all the prep for the hit that comes afterwards and you heal yourself, then that's a brave thing to do and there's rewards for it. But yeah, definitely be cautious with it. I told you to do it because you wanted to get rid of big predators that were attacking you in the area and also that were already harvesting off of that place, and it would become a big trap for them. And you already worked on a bunch of big things so that you'd be ready for that. And also, you gain access to super strength and a lot of infinite power energies by
oh,
trading
I
rate.
did. That
Yeah,
was a big level up for me, but my God, did I earn it?
yeah.
Did I earn it?
Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah, be careful what you do and understand exactly what your level is at different times. There
So
are
yeah.
big places of power that like government buildings and banks are on, and some of them are anchors to the big negative grids that exist. So it's like the powerful, brave work that needs to get done, but not everyone people should start with lower level chakras that ask them to go there. And as you build up entourage and armies and support and more positive places of power that are aligned with you and united like a Game of Thrones chess map that you're getting everyone in the area on your side, then eventually you'll have you want to build up a fortress. And you
Well, a
don't
good
want to
way.
take on the big predators until they come after you, and you need to, and
Yes.
that your fortress is big enough to handle. That's a good strategy I recommend for people.
Yeah, I agree. Don't ever pee on a government building or a bank or anything like that. You're mad. But a nice way to start, possibly,
I'm mad, yeah,
you're mad. A nice way to
and I'll
start
teach them how to resolve it too. But go
is
ahead.
to pee on a lemon tree. So if you pee on a lemon tree, the lemon tree is very powerful at absorbing negative energy. So peeing on a lemon tree, it's already anchoring good vibes and it's nature generally, unless it's a lemon tree at a bank. Don't go anywhere near that. But, peeing on a lemon tree in a garden or in kind of an orchard or somewhere that's in nature, that's probably a nice little introduction to pea magic. What do you think about that? Because lemon trees are, they're good at absorbing negative energy.
The collective consciousness of lemon trees are good at psychic abilities in the third eye, so that can amplify a lot of that too, especially finding the right one, the more powerful ones, the ones that are on place of power, and yeah, and you can even make a grid with yours, and they connect. Like there are consciousness grids between different species as well, and so they connect. Like our DNA lineage is a grid. So and for those that did enter a situation where they like peed on a bank or something, thank you for being brave. But so the way to heal that, I recommend taking a bath a cold, hot, cold shower where you clear and you're concerned. It's like it some of the areas that you go to that are haunted that you'd be doing this, some don't refresh themselves like they're like once you clear it's not a problem anymore. But some places like a bank or a government building, they're going to refresh it. So you're really just wanting to free the power that they stole, free up the place of power, the grid system, neuter their crap, whatever abilities that you learned in it, and then you want to detach from it, and then clear it off you and prevent them from being able to track you back. And part of the healing and clearing of that is clearing your bladder, your kidneys, the ego, which centers in the solar plexus near the stomach, and the shadow in the root chakra. That's mostly what you got to do, and then you can see all these cords of attachment or whatever way they have to viewing you and targeting, and you detach all that, and then you put up camouflage back in time throughout the event. You make it so that it doesn't look like anything. You can put the bottle of whatever in a brown paper bag. Oh, just look at alcohol. You just dumped out a drink. It's whatever, and then it's like a hit and run thing. I do know people that do bust banks, and it depends on how powerful they are. Sometimes they're like it's like nothing, but if it's like a big like full of demons building, then you want to be careful, and you want to definitely take a shower, hot and cold afterwards, and detach from all that after. It's like hit and run. But yeah, you want to empower your grids of positive forces behind you first, because that even adds to the power of your P. To the point where every time your urine or other things connect to a place power, it adds to the armies. And then you get such a big army to the point where even if you did it to the Olympics, it's like nothing to you. But you want to be actual, what's the word, accurate and honest with your assessment of the level. Then it's not just peeing. So there are other things you want to do to a place of power, or you can do depending on what options you have, because not every some sacred places have guards, temples, pyramids, all that. You can't just do that. Uh,
Yeah,
um,
that's a good point actually. When people do go to these sacred places or places of power, power spots, it's often really important for me anyway, because and you, I guess, we're energy sensitive and we're telepathic, and whatever's there is going to try and communicate with us because they can. So it's always important to, before you go or before you enter the place, just spend a few moments with your thoughts. May I enter? Kind of get permission. Ask, is there a chief around? Is there anything I can do for you today? And so there's probably a couple of missions that you can do, very quickly, just make sure that they're worth it for you and that it's something that you can do very quickly without ruining your day. So before you enter, you can sort of do a couple of missions, meet the chief of the area or the head honcho there. And then when you enter that place of power, your experience will be a lot more potent, a lot more pleasurable. And
synchronous. Yeah.
they've always got something to trade, these
Let's go.
power spots.
Yeah.
And so, you can then set up a good trade where you get something and in return you do some missions, you do some clearing, or you bring some magic stones, a bit of shungite that you spread around, or, an offering of a crystal, or, whatever it is. So, maybe the day before, find out what you could bring to the area. Do they want some shungite? Would they like a little quartz crystal programmed with whatever? If you're not telepathic or well, everyone's telepathic. If you're not actively telepathic or psychic, just take a few moments and whatever pops into your imagination, run with it.
Yeah, you get rid of the doubt, because that's the biggest thing blocking telepathy and visions. So start creating and understanding it back and forth and receiving and be receptive, and then more
Mm.
information that comes, you're like, okay, I couldn't make this up. And then oh well, interesting. Yeah, a lot
Exactly.
of it you can confirm with different abilities. So yeah, but you don't need them. So run with it, go create, see what happens, get results, and then yeah, and ask permission. Big thing. You want to get everything in the place
Big
power to life.
thing.
You want to be respectful, honor them, give them offerings if you can, and have a conversation with them before. A lot of them will invite you. Like as I've gone to more, I started, wherever I go, I start low, where there are low places of power near me, and then go to the bigger ones that are in my view. And then as soon as I take care and heal and fortress and everything else that they need, they more take notice because they're in communication with each other, and they start sending me invites. They'll do it telepathically, or they'll send insects or birds, and some things will contact me through those methods, and there'll be different things, but sometimes they're a place of power and like, hey, you're ready here, and that some will bribe you, hey, I want you to come to me first, and then they'll give you something in exchange. The more quicker you go, especially. And then I kind of do like a bidding war on that. And it's like, oh, you want that? Oh, you're gonna give me that? Okay, cool. And I'll come there and I'll read what they want, all the things to make them overpowered, and I'll learn more abilities so that I can offer more things. You also want to get some. So the more mystical experiences, it's like getting access to a whole nother timeline of what you could perceive, weather patterns, insects, birds, animals showing up, synchronistic messages. You sometimes find unique stones or crystals, or something that wants to come back with you. Not all the time. I recommend. I just wanted to make sure people know some places are very protective, and they don't want you to take anything from the site, and they'll curse you if you do. So just make sure on that. And there's like places in Hawaii where people will take things and then they'll get cursed and people die around them, and it's kind of awful. So make sure on that. And like I also ran into that on Egypt, and it mostly depends on how targeted they are and how many people try to take from that place. And then each stone and thing has like a process and a contract that it's doing with the area, so it may not want to go. Depending on how much you work and the places and the beings that like you could more likely have a get them to where they like, okay, yeah, we really want to work with you. We want you to have a representation of this point so we can trade more at a level back and forth. But you want to be sure about that. With the bigger places, the more powerful the place is, the more targeted it is, the more likely that it won't want you to take an object unless you do a lot of work. If it's a small thing like a chakra or a little place of power in the area and there's nothing really that super unique about it, and that probably means it's less targeted, it's less known about, less likely to care if you take apart a piece of something.
Yeah,
And
I've also experienced some god awful places, not only physically, but bilocating to, I work with the Earth grid, and so there are some places I'll bilocate to on the Earth grid, and God, they're so dark. They're absolutely controlled. These power spots are absolutely controlled by evil, pure evil. But I need to get in and do my thing. So, you negotiate with evil, because I've realized that some places have a necessary evil. If I took out all that evil, it'd be replaced by even worse evil.
yeah,
So some of it is a necessary evil, and you can negotiate with it. Normally, the evil I talk to, it's not sort of so loving, it's a bit standoffish, but they're a little bit logical, because I can get rid of a big predator for them, or I can do something for them, do a mission for them that they can't do. And they kind of like, well, okay, so my intent is always, look, we're going to work together, we're going to coexist. I'm not going to mess with you, don't you mess with me. How can we help each other? And by the way, thank you for upholding this place. I know that's a lot of darkness. I know it's not pleasant. So thank you. I'll thank them as well. And so once I figured all this out, I have a lot better experience dealing with these dark power spots, of which there are many.
Exactly. Yeah, I learned that too. Yeah, so I used to like go to big places, and then I get overwhelmed, and it's like you feel like you're out of body, and head pressures, back pressure, pain, a lot of things. If you just go in there and do whatever you want, they don't really like that. They rather you be more communicative, creative, and in unity with their thing. And like you said, I found when I understood every little layer of, which is why we're good at doing this stuff and will help other people and holding tours and stuff. That when you go to these really big places of power that have superpowers and stuff, there's a lot of stuff there. And throughout time, there's a whole history with it. There's ghosts, there's ancestors, there's um, big ass predators, and they're there for a reason. Some people would be like, oh, this is a big predator, this needs to be cleared. And I used to do that. Then I can do that. It's just it's you gotta either maintain it afterwards, and then it still gets invaded later. And so it has to have a thing to support its system. And it's in the current so the state it is at now, whenever you go there, it's usually at a maintaining point. So that'll include lights, neutral, dark, and evil. So the dark is about protection, and so it pushes out the evil so that the light can shine deeper, as if everything is in unity. Not everything is in unity, so you can get everything in unity at the place. The dark beings will everything there that's evil is usually not like so far gone that it can't be turned to good, or at least positive darkness. So it's usually just overwhelmed, possessed, attacked, and they're just really aggressive. Like I've seen big ass giant spiders looming over a place, harvesting off things, big dark evil gods, all kinds of things. And they're all you can figure out why they're that way and what they want, and it's most of them. When she says give them support or what they want, it's like a troll that wants to tax, kind of like the government. They want taxes, and they'll kind of protect you from a worse evil as a lesser evil. That's kind of what it is. You sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes it's with more abilities like love and light and goodness and unity and healing and wholeness and retrieval of stuff that they're lack. They become more in harmony, and they like you. If you do things like that for them, they don't see you as an enemy, and you can get everyone to like you at the place. If you do, then it's going to have so much better time, so much synchronicity, less things attacking you, things honoring you, such good emotions and energy from it. More power coming back to you, more exchange, and it's making sure that they're heard. They want to be heard. They want to have their seat on the council. Because it's like I've been protecting from this dark thing that's coming at me, and even if they're like kind of selfish and they're protecting for their and they're trying to maintain that as their space, there's still there's a greater multidimensional level, dimensionally above all of that, that's allowing it because it sees it on the timeline as a better, lesser evil. So then you can heal all those things and bring it to peace, and then there's less attack that will come your way, less dark things, less resistance. And a lot of it needs to be built up from the foundation of the root and strength and resilience in the first place. So because a lot of these places of power deal with so much crazy energy coming at them from all the people going there that, are just unconscious, and they're dumping shit on them, like shadow and illness and darkness and evil and ego and all this waste energy. So it has to get really good at processing and redistributing and transmuting that energy. And that's one of the things to work on when you go to a place of power is before it can turn on those bigger mechanisms of the constructs of lights that it has around it that do crazy cool things for evolution and the planet and humanity. It has to be able to process all those things really well. And the supportive systems for resolving those dark things are really good, because that also, like when people are like ill and stuff and they're like, I want to get healed, they go to this place to have heart, it's like, oh wow, the pain's all gone. I used to have huge pain in my tooth before I went to Chichen Itza pyramid in Mexico, and it all went away as soon as I went to the pyramid. It was like amazing,
But that's a
crazy.
higher self trade, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah, I was
definitely,
doing big stuff.
these things are always a higher self trade. So it's not just a free healing. When you
Yeah,
go in and you get drawn to a place to heal yourself, or if you go and you get healed, that is a higher self trade. And you definitely want to make sure that trade is worth it for you and that you didn't get a bad trade as well. That's something else your higher self needs to be aware of. And with awareness, you do better trades.
yeah, a lot of equivalent exchange. Everything is like a give and take, and the better you are with this cycle of flowing, giving projection of gratitude and support and love and offerings, the more comes back to you. Uh, yeah, I recommend with a lot of the bigger places, especially, it's like leaving offerings is better than taking. And you can still connect to those grids and remain interactive from a distance by like leaving an offering, putting a prayer, and
So what kind of
something.
offerings do you take to places? I often take I just buy a bag of small shungite stones because shungite's kind of good at transmuting negative energy. So, or powder. I just often just drop a little shungite stone in the water, in any waterway there, because then it gets amplified. That's something I generally do. What kinds of things do you leave?
That's perfect. Shungai, it's great. That like is definitely what it needs. It needs a lot of supportive energy to process dark things. Because that builds its foundation and strength up to get more light coming out of it. Yeah, Shungite, tourmaline, organite's good. Programming and enchanting things that like the. And you want to ask because I'm good at depossessing, and I can enchant objects and necklaces and other and stones to depossess. And a lot of the time they want that because that's like the big shit. But they I need to ask their permission because not every place is willing to take that. Mostly because of the different authorities there. A lot of the light beings want it, but the dark beings like, what do you mean by depossession? Are you gonna get rid of me? So I have to like make a kind of promise with them that it's going to bring them to their greatest form and light and goodness and wholeness, and a lot of things that they want an empowerment that they're lacking to bring to wholeness, and see the value in them, and then they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, we want that. And then I stack stones. I will make a grid. You can make a medicine wheel. You can, if it needs to last there for a while, you can bury it so that it doesn't get stolen. Um, you can even program. I program some of the stones in the area. I'll leave various things depending on what's there. Elemental stuff, like if there's a fire element, I'll burn some type of incense or sage or Palo Santo or sweetgrass or something that they asked me to bring. If smoke elementals and wind elementals like that too. They like the bubble guns that I ran into too because they can program that, the wind elementals.
The what?
Uh, the wind elementals like the sylphs and stuff.
The bubble
Uh,
guns.
yeah. Bubble technology, it creates a construct, and if you put that as an offering, even if it's temporary, it lasts and empower them quite a bit. There's the water elementals. You can bring them various sacred, prayed over, given love, water or urine or alcohol,
And
high
we've spoken about urine.
spirits.
Watch where
Yeah,
you pee, people. I often
yeah,
have a
yeah.
cigarette. I'm a smoker, and I just love tobacco, and I'll often
Tobacco.
have a cigarette and take my butt with me. But tobacco is a unity, has the very strong unity energy. Its magic is unity. So I'll often have a cigarette at these sacred spaces in my little own private ceremony, and it does bring a unity energy to the area. Sometimes that's something I enjoy, and
Like
yeah.
all the connection of that grid and what it's done adds to its collective and what it's capable of. Tobacco is also good at making things sacred. I bring a banishing herb combination that I use to banish everything out of the area that's negative, that wasn't like a authority, and that's beneficial to maintaining its strength for long-lasting periods. And then I do the tobacco to bring in the sacredness, and
Nice.
it works really well. So yeah, I recommend that. There, like again with the water elementals, you can make purified alcohol, and you can get the little bottles and like an airplane, and then bury those.
What
You
kind of
can
alcohol do you use?
Depends on what they ask. If there's an area or collective consciousness to it, each alcohol has something that's good at. Like Tennessee whiskey is like a bunch of guns, like turrets around that protect different countries based on what the country's good at. Usually go into the collective and give it what it needs. Like Ireland whiskey is good at freedom and a lot of spiritual crazy stuff. And then yeah, there's wines that and depending on age in their country, that is unique. Yeah, flowers can be offered. Specific types have different, like portal tech or communication tech or something that it brings to the area. Different herbs, food offerings, different spirits, area, and like Bayer elementals will ask for different things. I have leprechauns that ask for like gingerbread and potato and um, sometimes cannabis or something. They're whiskey, and yeah, depending on the area, what's the there's a you can just offer anything that you think and you give love and gratitude into it, and it has energy in it, and that can be taken by the spirits of the area that will then take all the energy out of it, and then the rest will be left to the animals. Um, you want to make it so that it's edible to animals. And then, but if you get more understanding about what they want most, then they give you a lot more upgrades to it. Yeah. So it's good to stay receptive and see what they like. In different elementals will amplify that too. And the light beings, I just went into it with a friend where a big light being wanted in ultraviolet light shined in a place of power for a while. Uh, there, there's this one place, I'm not gonna disclose it, but that's really powerful that he found. That my friend is really good at grid working. That went into where you amplify an incredible amount of like entering a mystery school and downloading evolutionary codes and superpowers, and then going through an initiation process. If at the place of power you bring a cup of water to be imbued, and then you drink it ceremonially, as well as a flame, and you gotta make it a specific color flame. They wanted violet, and that was interesting because that amplifies a lot in the different color spectrums of light in an area that mean a lot of things. Like the violet flame, a lot of people talk about in transmutation. So there's some you can get really witchy with it, but again, there's some people that just keep imprinting on place of power and adding shit and doing their own thing, and there's this whole belief system they have about things, and they can do things for hours. And the best thing really you can do at a place of power is purifying it, because its state of being at its purest level is its greatest form. Because the other stuff can get hijacked, and it has to do with how well they're doing in their spiritual nature. And the people, no one's doing great all the time, so then that can limit the place, and then it can get really haunted. And then it's like nobody's like looking at this stuff like diligently, so it's more, it's better to just purify and get rid of things that are negatively attached that shouldn't be there, and making it so it feels safe, so that generators of those various powers feel safe enough to come outward, and as they're not getting harvested and just taken from vampirically. And it's all positive circuits that are continuing and amplifying each other that are left in secure manner.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lemon is good for that. You can take a little lemon and squeeze some lemon juice in an area. That's really nice to get rid of some, I mean, a deal with negative energies is just leave a lemon somewhere, and it's biodegradable. So it's not like it won't be there forever.
Yeah,
So,
fruits are good. Yeah. And you
yeah.
can drink fruit juice at the places, and various types like mango and stuff can amplify it. Like you, like, please imbue this with the power of this place of power, and let us work together in commerce, and to amplify each other in higher capabilities. And they'll imbue it, and it's really great. And so I'll take fruit juice when I go. And then also chocolate is really great, especially if it's a divine place of power where there's gods or something.
Chocolate?
Yeah, yeah. Chocolate's the fruit of the gods, and
Oh,
what
wow.
it's
I
good
love
at is
chocolate.
allowing you to integrate
Wow.
divine energy.
Oh,
So especially if it's felt safe, and you can do prayers over and give it energy, and to where it can contain more divine energy from the area, and you both can leave it as offerings, as leave it somewhere under stuff so that dogs don't, die. But and then it lasts there, and then also take some of it uh, while you're there, and then if you have a bunch of it, then you can have it imbued, and then you can eat it later on. Especially if you clear it and make it more protected after, and maintained after, when you're eating it.
what about coffee?
Well, coffee is about power, and getting rid of things, suppressing it, and making it feel safe, as well as there's like a rhythmic thing to time and sleep cycles, dream time, awake time, awakening energy. That's what it's mostly good at. But yeah, you can offer that, especially if it's a awakening place of power, or if it's sleep place of power, or if it needs, if there's like a dormant being there. A lot of places are what's the word, in a coma and asleep. Like there's been a lot of
Well,
uh
yeah, our
lots of
Earth
things that
grid
happen
has
in
been,
invasions that bring like parts of the earth to like go into a coma. So you can do a mass ritual with coffee, and gritting the coffee beans, and doing some of the cool things with the planet, and that place of power to wake up the area.
oh, definitely. And some places they'll attack you or kick you out. So if you think about where you've been and had an injury, where you fell over and broke your leg, or where you had an injury, it's most likely that that place was, you have a conflict or an issue with that place, or you just bumbled into that place and they there was some conflict happening, dimensional. It's dimensional. So, if you're skiing on a mountain and have an accident, obviously you didn't really talk to the mountain before you went skiing. So whenever you go skiing or swimming at the beach, wherever you go, have a chat with that place before you go there, just so that you
Protect.
don't, because some places, they'll kick you out, they'll kick your butt, especially star forts. Star forts, or they're also called bastion forts. They're places of power. They do exist intact in the higher frequencies, in other frequencies, even if they're in ruins in our realm. A lot of them are fully intact and functional in other frequencies. So when you go visit these star forts, this one person I know went to a star fort, and she just like fell over immediately that she entered the star fort for no reason. You know, that was, she's a grid worker, so she, you know, her butt was being kicked. So you pay attention to what happens to you as you enter these places. You know, if you fall over, twist your ankle, you've got a, most likely you've got a conflict with something, an entity inhabiting that area, or the land itself, or the construct, you know, the star fort, the house, you know, whatever it is. So start paying attention to your experiences.
Mm. That's a good point. Yeah, yeah. There'll be different causations. It may not be fully clear why. It's not always like it wants to kick your ass, but there might be something on the land that wants to kick your ass, or has karma with you, or there's like ghosts and they're like war zones. They like want your attention and they might haunt
And they
you.
could just be afraid of you as well. They could be afraid of your power. And they're like, oh crap, this
Yeah,
person can do this,
exactly.
even though you don't know you can do it. They know you can do it.
Yeah,
Half the time we don't know what we can do. We don't know our own power.
yeah. People can get attacked because like the dark or evil parts of the place power don't approve of them and they'll want to attack them. Or
Mm.
sometimes it's a lot of places of power are good at exposing darkness within the person that's ready to be released, and then sometimes the person will be like, "Oh, this place is dark," or that person's dark, and sometimes it's true, but sometimes it's they're
It's a
exposing
healing.
something within yourself that's ready to be resolved, and then we take that the wrong way. Uh, like a lot of the Egyptian gods will expose stuff in people like pain and things, and it's like, oh, there's that big attachment that was trying to make itself invisible for a while, that was stealing that ability from you. Now you're ready to handle it, and then it's a little bit uncomfortable because the parasite's like, no, I don't want you to get rid of me. And then also one like an example, one time, my last trip to Egypt, we we did a bunch of cool work and it was beautiful. But at the end, when we're at night because we did a private tour of the Great Pyramid and went in the sarcophagus and stuff. We got a big upgrades. It's also a big depossession chamber and upgrader and thing beyond space and time. And I had like this thing where we were taking a picture, and then I kind of stepped back, and I accidentally we were kind of on the out edge of the pyramid, and I actually fell off of the pyramid, like down like what is it, like 3 feet, and like fell on my ass. So I had a near death experience with that because I could kill you. But I was fine afterwards. I just my ass hurt. And I read into that and I was like, why did that happen? I was like, you got a near death experience from that, and that like shifted a whole bunch of things, that got rid of things that could have taken lifetimes if I didn't do it. That I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. And there's a lot of secret stuff with it, but that I had to do in spirit. But it's something to do with the afterlife and resolving a bunch of things there really quickly. Um, so that not every accident you do might be a negative. If the place is interestingly connected with you, might have to be, like if you resolve a wound or pain, you could resolve a big thing for the area all in that pain as you're healing it. And it might in the pain energy itself, as you read it, it might not just be pain from that wound, but like an add-on of a bunch of pain elsewhere, and it's giving you the attention to and the feeling to be able to resolve it all. But also near death experiences are huge. They like make your whole life change. Plan B to C D D D AFG, spiritual entanglement of all these things coming to you, future self, angels, life review, all this stuff happens all at once. It like shifts your whole being around. Um, so it's not easy to tell, but you do want to make sure you're doing all these positive things to make sure that the place wants you there, and it likes you, and that you're making sure you're maintaining your energy. You clear yourself, you sage yourself or something before you go into the place, so you don't leave as much bullshit there, and you bring gifts for it, and you don't need to take, but if you do a lot of work, don't expect to take, but if you do a lot of work, sometimes it will offer you a gift. And yeah, it's very powerful, and they can do great magic with you, but you don't even have to, because most of the gifts are spiritual, and they'll connect with you for the whole time in life afterwards, and you can constantly trade with those places. You went into star forts, which are essentially stargates, with Tartarian French architecture as going into military bases, dowsing Freemasons that would go around, finding the big place of power, that are essentially stargates, which there's a big current that goes up and down from the center of the earth. And this isn't all of them, because not all of them are known. So when people see stargates, they think of the show Stargates. Yeah, there's some of those, but those are the technological ones, those discs. And there's interesting conspiracy of that being real, because most people just know about the show. There's movies that go into there's one that they found a Stargate having to do with from Egypt, and it went into codes in Egypt, and it connected to the Egyptian gods and went back and forth. And that's wow. There are some pyramids, like in the Bosnian pyramid, that have glyphs on it that mention Stargate. So it's an actual thing that's been throughout history. There's Solarian mystery schools that would remote view and astral travel through the sun, and it would connect to a bunch of different stars. This place of power that connect with that. And it's essentially how it works is a star system, a star will, am I allowed to talk about this? Yes. Will connect to a place of power and make one on the planet, and it will anchor itself in consciousness, and it will make a big bridge through space and time in a gate that's like a portal. But it's a different type of portal technology that will allow for spirits to incarnate into that realm back and forth. A lot of them are closed off because they don't feel safe. There's been big invasions and wounding.
And there's quite a few that have been usurped and overtaken by unauthorized entities as well.
Right. So they don't need a big disc like the one behind you that allows an opening of a physical portal, because these are spiritual portals, but they're big places of power that allow the greater unfoldment of the creation of an actual disc portal, which has existed, that I at least tune into back in time. Atlantis, Lemuria, and other civilizations have them, so they can, travel through whatever mode of travel they've invented. And then when they get to a place, they can make it easier for their home planet to connect to those places. And same thing with realms, like crossing over between realms. There's a place of power for portals or gates or rips in space-time or stargates or black holes that have energy and sometimes information and consciousness and bigger unfoldments going back and forth between places. A lot of the star forts are built on some of these places. A lot of them are shut down and targeted, but that doesn't stop a military operation from making a big fort on it. And then under those, there's a lot of bases. It's one of the more targeted type of place of power that if you want to kind of see if there is a habit pattern behind ET species and other inner Earth groups. And where are they going to make a base? They usually make it on big places of power that the type of energy they're studying and they're advancing it. And if they have to, especially if they have to do with the portal back and forth, and what's the star system on the other end of that portal, there's usually a base somewhere underground having to do with the races that are on the other side. They can track those things. Even if they forgot or was covered up in history and they're returning or something. I find a lot of that. And also negative races a lot of the time will try to make bases, because it's kind of a big, Earth is a big place, so there's a lot of layers for different bases on top of each other that aren't necessarily that close. And there'll be negative ETs that have a directive to try to hack into those places and then sometimes the star system, because like the star forts kind of look like, sometimes they look like the actual constellation, which is interesting when you look through like star fort maps online. And there so there's multiple ET groups in that star system, and the stars aren't exactly always that close to each other. It's just from our perception. So some of the stars might have positive ETs, some of the stars have negative ETs. So there's an attempt on a control of where in that star system the Stargate connects to. And it's not necessarily just limited to that star system, because once you open up a big portal like the one behind you, there's different things you can, depending on how advanced it is, the energy that's coming in and authority behind it, and the back and forth connection that's stable and maintained. It can lead to many places.
Yeah, I often find portals, portal constructs, not natural portals. And, only life is interdimensional. A chunk of metal, it is not interdimensional. Only life, sentient life, is interdimensional. So, some stones are sentient. They have a collective sentience, and they can be interdimensional. But portals, these man-made portals, they require genetics. All these portals that bad guys are making, they require genetics from sentient beings to function. And not just any sentient being, but the DNA lineages that are linked to super time abilities, like the lion lineage. They're timeline guardians, like the unicorns. They can create portals. And there's all sorts of other DNA lineages with super time abilities, and their DNA is stolen to create these like man-made portals. And I do find a lot of these man-made portals in our Earth grid. It's at sacred spots, places they shouldn't be. And in order to get to close these, you've got to extract the sentient life. Do an authority audit of that portal, and it's like, yeah, that's none of this is authorized. It's all stolen light. It's all stolen genetics. So you can go in and reclaim all of those genetics and give it back to the original sovereign source light authority and shut down that portal. It does get easier. It can be a bit challenging when you first start doing that, because people challenge your authority. But so there are a lot of these man-made portals and false light sacred spots or sacred places that have been usurped or taken over. Some of them are a necessary evil, and some of them are certainly not. So getting good at doing an authority audit, it's a journey. It's a self journey, but getting good at auditing the authority of the entities in that place is a good start.
Good point. Yeah, and when you're going into portals, the easy ones to make are energy portals. That like there's like blood portals, things between atoms, the exchange of energy, the chakra portals, the portals and perception, portals to summon in energy or information or beings, and like summoning, conjuration, invoking, evoking, all that. But then there's bigger things like the physical ones where people can travel through, like Tesla Vortal tunnel technology and the different tunneling systems, the window portals, the geometric of spherical portals, the ones you got to run down. There's all these different types that have been talked about. Some different. There are ET groups that are very advanced in it, and they made it so that you can teleport or portal anything. But more man-made ones are like rudimentary, based on trial and error and seeing what's going on. And a lot of time when you just put anyone through it, they can go insane. So there's lineages of authority that have more stability to go through portals, and they look for those. people to be put in missions, as well as the authority of the portal itself. Not everyone has that. It's very sought after because it breaks through quarantines, and that, like when you're quarantining a planet, that's a big thing to resolve. Same with time travel. There are places of power on the Earth and authorities that are made those places of power, as well as or their own ability, and those can get stolen or hijacked. There's like rips in space and time in certain places, like the Colorado Mountains, the Dulce base, the Bermuda Triangle, the
Um,
Dragon Triangle in Japan.
yeah.
There's all these different ones that have like places of time power, and some of them aren't like are known and seen and targeted by ETs and various bases and also the military, and they use those places of power to power their operations of success to interact in time travel and mess with the timeline quite a bit.
They
And
do, yeah. The
like in
Bermuda
Japan,
Triangle is just a god awful place to bilocate or connect with. It always makes me feel literally like woozy and sick because it's a massive hairball of time shenanigans and a lot of timeline wars and battles are linked to the Bermuda Triangle. It kind of the energy passes through there. It's kind of a hub. And oh God, I feel sick every time I connect with that. And I've had to do it so much. Practically, every whale or elephant I speak to, it's just like, oh, can you just do this Bermuda Triangle mission for me? Because we are all so entangled with that place. Every battle in history that we know of and that we don't know of is kind of, runs through, is funneled through the Bermuda Triangle from what I've seen. And that is being detangled now. That is unraveling as we speak. Sending unconditional love to the Bermuda Triangle with loving detachment.
yeah, it's a big bleeding wound that is part of like why Earth went into a coma. There's Atlantis is a pan like multi-continental civilization all around the planet, existing underground on in islands and land masses, and the spurring of the start of civilizations, as well as air cities and ships and off planet and into the solar system and beyond. But there are islands that had tech on them to teleport and time travel further in time, and some of them of the islands that were there are doing that, as well as some were so far gone and evil that they got uncreated and are kept out of time and in void space. The so big things that happened in Atlantis are there. Some of the bigger dark factions were there. Big place of power there, which is why the dark factions were there in the first place to hack into. Big AI hacking into the matrix, gridding things happen there.
Well, the
Invasions from the
the island,
anti-verse and other places. Hell realms coming in. Woof. It's awful. I don't recommend people entangling with it. I
um,
recommend eventual remedy of the healing of the wound, but it's a long list of abilities you need to learn how to resolve that, and it's not something that's going to be done easily. It's going to take a lot of work from a lot of people, and a lot of blowback, and there's a lot of evil coming through. Big ass predators that are dominating the planet essentially around there. Some of the
it's
big
I
players in
think
the
in the
kingdom.
50s, in the 1950s, there were these the US or some governments, countries' governments did magnetics research in the Bermuda, uh,
The
its
eugenic
Bermuda
family.
Island. This big magnetics research. I mean, what the hell was that all about? And the island of Bermuda itself, I think it's over 100 very small islands in a really small area. If you look on Google Maps, it's quite interesting. The main islands, there's like at least 5 star forts on a place the size of, a football field.
It's crazy,
It's
right?
such a
Yeah.
tiny area and it's just covered in star forts. in this, and the island itself, Bermuda, it's so remote. It's way off the coast of North America, way off the coast of Jamaica. It's really a very, very remote area. And interestingly, it was uninhabited when the Spanish or the British or whoever it was, when they found it, what, 1500, 1600, something like that. It was actually uninhabited. There's no fresh water there. So, but all these star forts.
Right. Yeah,
it's a very weird place.
Interesting relapse in history. Yeah, and there's been known conspiracies of like underwater pyramids in those areas as well. Big vast place of power, big anomalies of energy and time and space. There's also going to place of power. There's gravity well type place of power in certain places where things levitate, or water that flows upward. It's weird. And this has been disclosed in movies. There's people call the fountain of youth. There's places of power for granting really powerful superhuman abilities. Hunza has water that people drink, and the women there don't get menopause till they're 100 years old. There's amazing places around the earth. If they're protected and allowed to expand and made sacred, they can do some great things. Some of the places of power have guardians that, if they're protected, they can expand to the level of the size of the galaxy, universe, or all space and time. And they're protecting more than just the planet.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, go ahead.
We were going to Japan. They had the Dragon Triangle, which has a bunch of Lemurian and Mu underwater civilization architecture from also places that some of them leapfrog forward in time, or some went underground or whatever, and cataclysms.
Yeah.
There's
Interestingly, Japan is one of the few places that has had 3 nuclear attacks. There is Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and Fukushima. I mean, let's call them nuclear events. Whether they were attacks or accidents, who knows? But I pick up that nuclear bombs are not quite what we think they are. For me, I see that they're light harvesting weapons. And in Hiroshima, there are actually shadows of people left on brick walls. It's a light harvesting weapon. And Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and Fukushima, they all line up on a ley line. And this ley line was, I've done some work on that. That was really in very, very bad condition. It had all of its light harvested from it. I think it's on its way to healing now, but that was really affecting the land of Japan, these 3 points. And I do also pick up that Japan is very new on our timeline. It's a very recent addition. It's almost like it just flew in very recently. The landmass itself just flew in very recently. It's not on a lot of timelines I look at, but it's on our timeline now. Thank goodness, because I live here. So it's a very unique place. It's packing a lot of authority, and it's bringing in a lot of magic, I think.
Yeah.
What do you?
Yeah. Big. It connects to a lot of places, realms.
Yeah.
There are portals that allowed a lot of species to cross over back and forth. This is talked about in mythological times, or is it what's the word for the period where they had all these walking around yokai, and some people just call them demons, but I don't think that's a good description. And it's like Oni and other
Oni are
animal
kind of like the
spirits.
demons or the devils. The yokai are the mythological,
Feudal
like,
Japan,
elementals.
Right? The feudal Japan.
Feudal Japan, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and there's like times of like Mu, and the motherland connections and the crossover between that. The royal family think they hail from dragons, the dragon families with that. The interesting, there's different stories behind the kami, the gods. One of them that I've heard is like some of them were, an actual gods and things that are beings of nature and authority that were granted to them. Some were deified, and some were in bodies, and whether they were a deity that came in and in a human body or something else manifested, or became it was a renowned human and became human. There's a lot of things on that. There's priest class that would, during times of catastrophe and cataclysm, where big rips in space-time opened up that make like the triangles, as well as these crazy anomalies of time and space in Japan, where like people can go through tunnels and on the other end their time on their watch changes, and there's portals that open up in tunnels and gateways and these arches and that lead to whole places, and sometimes spirit you away somewhere, and get a visitation by something. There used to be at least with what I read, and there's a lot of spiritual evidence and wounding for this, where there's a catastrophe and ripping of space-time and things invading in, and certain very powerful individuals made a sacrifice by going into these rips in space-time, and what essentially ends up happening in them sometimes on the other end of the space and time is like it's used as a portal from an invading hell realm or something, and that's invading in a bunch of negative spirits and beings and stuff. So they go into it with the objective to resolve it as well as attempt to collapse it, and some will have different methods of that, and some were successful. Some became a filter that made it so that they're like a quarantine preventing things from coming through, but they essentially sacrificed themselves and merged with time and space and nature, became nature gods. And at least that's one of the nature god methods that came into being, and those people were turned into deities as a caretaker for those places. Some of those rips in space and time are still leaking things and need people to help resolve them. The remedy to that is a bunch of negative beings through the hell realm stole authority to rip open space and time, and then they all like surrounded the ends of it and were keeping it open. So the authority needs to be taken back, as well as the remedy of every being involved in the portal that's entangled with it, which is interesting because the remedy is everyone detached from it so it can collapse back, and which it's counter to what you'd think it would do to collapse it. Like you got to do a bunch of energy and like, if you can get everything to detach from it, it will collapse back, because there's maintaining forces that are keeping it open. And then the more you entangle with it, the worse it kind of gets because the things are stealing from it. So that's the remedy for those people wanting to close those, and those aren't just existing in Japan, because there's been rift wars and things that happened back in time, or things invading the planet, like Bermuda Triangle or whatever.
Yeah, I find a lot of rifts. I deal with rifts as well, but it was really interesting as you were talking. I was suddenly just shown a lot of the viewers. It's what their higher selves wanted to know, is how do we seal these rifts, because there are so many, big ones, small ones, and apparently a lot of people that watch this, you've just given their higher selves the awareness to deal with these rifts in their neighborhoods, in their local areas. And so even if you're not, so-called actively psychic or actively intuitive, your higher self is now on it So if you're feeling a little bit discombobulated, or you suddenly get a headache, or you go outside for a walk and you fall over and trip over, that's you transmuting. You are transmuting and healing this these rifts. And I just got this hit so strongly that so many viewers need to heal rifts in their neighborhoods, because on in nature, where they go hiking, where they go on vacations, and also locally, because there are so many. Our realm is literally is littered with these rips and tears and holes and leaks, much like our skin suits. Our skin suits are a reflection of our realm, and we've got all these holes and leaks and rips and tears, and you've just given them this beautiful awareness, the higher self awareness, to heal ourselves and the realm. Thank you, Sean.
You, and thank you for saying that. And thank you all out there for helping with this. And some of the targeting you're getting, if you're targeted, is coming through these rifts. That how they got in here somehow around that.
Exactly.
Speaking into this one, yeah, and so we can resolve that all together. Thank you. Did you? I don't know if you wanted to talk about our upcoming uh, Japanese project. Did you want to talk about that for anyone that might be interested?
We've got which project are we talking about? The anime or the trip?
The travel.
The travel, yes. Hopefully you'll come to Japan, and we'll visit lots of power spots and just places of interest, and we'll do our thing. There are some amazing star forts here, like amazing. There are some really incredible uh, places of power, and Kyoto is kind of packing a lot of magic as well. There are a lot of festivals here. The Japanese, being a foreigner living in Japan, I can pretty much go up to anyone and just say, oh, God, you've got a demon on your shoulder. Can I get rid of that for you? And the Japanese are like, oh, yeah, sure, thanks. They're completely open to elementals, to nature beings in other dimensions. I don't say everyone, but pretty much everyone. So many people believe in the interdimensional. And so this is a great place to be for people who see stuff, who are sensitive, because it's all around us. And in Japan history, they've got, Abe no Seimei, who was a very famous magician. He worked with the shoguns, with the leaders of, feudal Japan, or was it feudal or a bit later? He was very good at barrier magic. He would create these barriers, talking about rips, leaks, and tears. He was a very famous magician who, was protective barriers. And his symbol looks like the Star of David. Isn't that interesting?
Nice.
So, yeah. So there's a lot of really fascinating areas, and of course the food is great. The people are great. The food is great. What's this?
I have this with my ultimate fortress symbol that I made. Yeah, the food is amazing.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, go ahead and continue, and then I'll
Oh,
go
just
off
the food. I mean, just the food alone. Just come for the food.
Yeah, so for everyone out there, if you're interested in sacred tours where you go to places of power and pyramids and temples and mountains and have an amazing experience where you connect to a emanation and generating empowerment that can fuel and resupply and shift and refresh your life with greatness and superpowers as you give back to it in the exact right way to unlock deep emanation inside you, to remember, to connect to past lives, to merge your soul parts from that life and integrate it and complete a part of yourself, and remember, as well as shift into other places and realities and bilocate through different portals to heaven realms and places where these different yokai and gods and dragons and elemental spirits and animal spirits have came from their original realms, the original planets, and the way that they crossed over through Japan, which is a very powerful nexus point and place of eminence of magic and high levels of spiritual attainment. And you like seeing great culture, having great food, going to hot springs and mountains and train rides, and having the full amazing experience that just activates your heart and fills you with such joy that it permeates through your life for your entire lifetime, making everything better and you dying happy. And having connections, meeting soul family, maybe meeting love, increasing your spirit to such capacity lifetimes ahead, and spirit entourage to where you gain armies that can make the world a better place, and learn abilities from me and Anne, and go through a mystery school while being nurtured and taken care of, and having a plan that you don't have to worry about almost anything, in an amazing place that will propel you farther than most places and tour groups will ever be able to do, with the right people that will love and care for you and make connections with you even after the trip, and business deals and all kinds of things. Then if you're interested in all that, we are planning a sacred tour in Japan. So you all need to message us trip inquiry for Japan and in our email. So can you mention how people can reach you?
Yes, my email is on my YouTube, and my YouTube has a link to my website and how you can connect with me. My YouTube is SKINSUIT Manual, so please find me there. And I think, yeah, the sacred journey of Japan, it's not just food. I mean, for me, it's just food, but also there's some
Food, wine,
food and
cigarettes,
wine, but it is
whatever.
such a powerfully magical place. And the elementals, because Japanese people are very open to the elementals, to the yokai, the nature spirits, and because all Japanese, when Japanese people build a house, they do a little ceremony for the land. Even if they're not religious, they'll get in the local priest to do a little blessing ceremony. And I was at a business dinner a couple of years ago talking to these big CEO bigwigs, too much money and not enough brains. And I'm saying how Japanese are very nature oriented and very open to interdimensional life. And these big CEO guys, the three of them, they're just like, oh, what a load of bullshit. No, we're not. We don't believe in that hocus pocus. And I'm like, really? Would you ever buy a house or a bit of land? Would you ever buy a bit of land and not call out the local priest to come and bless it? And they just looked at me in shock, and they're like, oh, we would never do that. We would never not bless the land. Just in case, they said. We would always get the priest out to bless the land just in case. And I'm like, there you go. Everyone has this basic, innate belief system of interdimensional life, of the elementals. And, I changed their lives, their perspectives, because they thought they were so detached. And then I made them realize, yeah, they're totally hooked into the interdimensional aspect of our reality. And so because en masse people believe in the elementals, the yokai, the oni, or the nature elementals, there's a lot more interaction. They're a lot more lively. They're a lot more chatty. The places of power are a lot more active than other places that are basically, without people having the belief system or the willingness to connect, they're kind of shut down and in a coma. But Japan is it's a very trippy place. It's very psychically active, and the power spots are off the charts, I have to say. You know, if you're even a little bit, a smidgen energy sensitive, you're going to be picking up stuff. And Sean and I will be helping you to find out what higher self trades are available at these places. We'll figure out what that place wants, what it's offering to trade, what we can trade with it, what we can take. We'll do some little fun ceremonies, hopefully coffee and cigarettes ceremonies, because they're my favorite. Yeah, we'll have a lot of fun, but you know, Sean and I can help you intuit what might be needed. You'll be doing a lot of great trades. Japan is so magical, and you know, you'll definitely be leveling up. That's why we're here. It's the name of the game.
Yeah, amplifying your divinity, your interaction with the kami, the dragons, and many abilities, superpowers, forces, different types of energy that you'll be granted access to generate. The different spirits of the land. Since there are so many, there are going to
The
be like
mountain
this
gods here. Yeah, loads of mountain gods,
treasure
river
trove.
gods. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just treasure trove of upgrades for all the spiritual work we'll be doing there to help that landmass grow to such an intensity is our goal, and activate the big place of power that'll change the whole timeline of Earth and make everything better, anchoring in the best positive timeline, the strength of that place, the ability to protect itself, to where those species flourish, to where they have more of themselves and they're more willing to come out again into the open, to where they show themselves and then bypass the skeptic egoic mind, to where they don't care anymore and they'll show themselves, and then they already have like all that coming out in the culture and the animes and the various places. And imagine when that is fully known about again and seen passed into the mystical realms and is beyond suppression by whatever forces are doing that. And then the whole place is in the big wounds in the past heal. Oh man, there's going to be a lot of sentient intelligence wanting to talk to people, and then like how a lot of animes bring out the information of superpowers, that's spurred, there's a reason for that, and keeping the magic alive until it's strong again, because Japan does that. So again, contact us, either one of us. And put it in the email trip inquiry so I can search it really quickly, because I get a lot of emails and some of them gets buried, for a trip inquiry for Japan, and we'll add you to the list. There's not really a time limit on this at the moment. We're doing a bunch of planning for it, but we want as many of you to know about it ahead of time, so we can really make it special, make it powerful, tailored to you too. We want your inquiry, what you want to go see. Hot springs, healing adventure, certain mountains that call you, the places that will take your spirit by location to whole new areas, and then you'll start integrating that memory. There's so much to do there, and we're gonna make a very special trip. We might even make more than one. So even if in the future, whatever time you get this and see this video, if you're interested in going, no better people on the planet than us to help take you and walk you through this experience that will see things that most people have no idea exist, and bring that to connect with you to where it changes your life. And yeah, again, my email, psionicleague@gmail.com with a PS, psionic. Also Psionic League YouTube, psionicleague.com, and you can reach me for consultations, healing, clearing, workshops, mystery schools, video procs on abilities, and of course these sacred trips that we'll be doing around the planet. So let us know if you're interested in this, and we'll be doing grid working. We'll be teaching that. We'll be going to many abilities, and pretty much anything you want. We are pretty, and any projects and things you want to name that you got coming up, or ways things you're offering that people can reach you for, or whatever?
No, not really. Just my YouTube channel is really self-healing. I like to empower people to do it themselves. But I do have one request to people. We've got it's now mid-August 2024. At the end of August, there's a full moon. It's a rare blue moon. And I'm picking up it's going to be epic, legendary. So we've just had the closing ceremony, or rather, of the Olympics on the 11th in Paris, and I just got a big download on the 11th at the closing ceremony. It was a really good download that the opening ceremony of all Olympics is always a dark ritual, and that's why you never want to put your pee anywhere near Olympics. But the opening ceremony of Olympics, the London Olympics, the Paris Olympics, dark as hell ritual. Well, enough people woke up to that dark ritual because it was so in your face this year. I mean, it was so obvious. Enough people just realized this. And on the 11th at the closing ceremony, I got a download where we actually, in unity consciousness, humanity actually neutralized that opening ceremony dark ritual. We neutralized it, people. I heard all this cheering. We did it in unity. There's enough people that was just like, hell no. We neutralized it. And who are the Olympians? The Olympics, the Olympian gods, back in our Greek mythology, the Olympian gods were the new breed of gods that took over from the Titans. In our mythology, that there was the Battle of the Titans, and that was between the original Titans and the new Olympian gods. Nothing good about these new Olympian gods. They're not who we think they are. I think they're an AI race, or have a lot of dark AI. I mean, there's good and bad AI, but and at this full moon, we have a chance to undo that battle, to where the new Olympian gods do not win and imprison the Titans, as in our mythology. But we've got this chance to, in unity consciousness, to undo that battle where the Titans win, the original humans, and not these new false light Olympian gods. So I think this full moon at the end of August is going to be epic. If you're energy sensitive, you might be on the floor. You might be crying a lot. You are healing. If you feel any heavy energies during this full moon, it's not an attack. Well, in general, I think it's not going to be an attack. It's going to be this surfacing of trauma for you to heal. So please participate in this, and let's win this Battle of the Titans. Let's win this. And don't forget that Paris, talking about the Earth grid, this dark ceremony, this dark ritual of the Paris opening ceremony, underneath Paris are catacombs filled with bones, skeletons. And these are piezoelectric. And they can be harnessed for a lot of dark magic. So the fact that humanity and unity, we took down this dark ritual, this is epic, I think. So yeah, please participate. Watch I just posted a video about this that will trigger your self-healing, that will trigger you to reclaim your Titan energies and any of your energies that were stolen to create these false light Olympian gods. I think this energy is going to be very challenging at the end of August for many people, but just know, most likely it will be this beautiful healing for yourself in our realm. Do you read anything into this full moon coming up, at the end of August? It's going to be pretty epic.
I'll let you know about it. I'll tune into the date in the portal. Usually there's, with full moons, there's portal connection back and forth and incarnation and amplification of something, depending on the areas that it's covering. Upgrade, evolution, a lot of solar plexus, magic, lowering of the veil, a lot of opportunities with it, and also depending on what's happening during it. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, let me know what you tune into as well. And again, for those out there, yeah, contact us if you're interested in the trip inquiry. It's trip inquiry, and send us some of the emails, psionically@gmail.com. And let us know if you're interested in being taught a bunch of magical stuff in mystery schools and being taken around to various sacred places in Japan and making the whole world change for the better. Yeah, and get this out there to whoever you can. And smash that like. Leave a comment if you liked what you see and you want to see us team up more. And subscribe and share this with as many people as possible, especially the people you want to see come on the trip and grid workers. And let us help make this world a better place. It is like a video game where we're turning all these places, you leveling up, and you increasing your abilities to do more, being your greatest self. Anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, we're all in this together. Leveling up, part of the game. It helps if you enjoy the game. If you enjoy the game, life can be a lot better. So embrace it. Embrace the roller coaster, the ups and downs. Embrace it all as leveling up.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, be your greatest self. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful night. Thanks, family, for coming. We'll see you all later.